MLS.
Ooh, now to me, this player is
This
probably
is
one of
harsh.
the
This is a bit harsh.
this one's one of the hardest players I think to kind of grade. Statistically in MLS, this guy is one of the leading leads interceptions, all of MLS, and we're talking of course about Francisco Calvo, the captain of the Chicago Fire. Jiggly just wrote an awesome article talking about the captain, the need for the Chicago Fire to replace him as a captain. You know, he did his job, he did his duty, but the Fire need a real captain. I agree. Calvo's not that guy in my opinion. At least doesn't seem like that guy to me, an outsider. And I'm not in the locker room. But the other thing is Calvo just doesn't. He doesn't seem to have a lot of the traits that I think you need in a captain. Now let's move out of his captain spot. He did his duty. He did great. He did his job. He did what he needed to do to help the team. I think when they needed to rely on him, and that shows something. That shows a positive trait for Francisco Calvo. He didn't quit on his team. Number two about Calvo, let's break into his gameplay. To me, he doesn't impress me as an MLS as the Fire center back. He's an undersized center back. He loafs a lot. There's a lot of defensive inconsistencies to him. However, despite his defensive inconsistencies, there's offensive flair to him. On corner pieces, on set pieces, there's maybe no more dangerous Fire player than Francisco Calvo. And that's to be saying something, to be, with CJ Sapong out there, Barrich out there, Pineda out there. And Francisco Calvo might be the most dangerous person on them with those set pieces. He has a lot of that fire and that flair. So, but once again, goes back to the idea. He's a center back. Also, he can pass. He's got decent passing skills, I think. But also his communication is sometimes questionable, and his defensive pressure is sometimes too lax for me, and that's my issues with Calvo. So it's kind of a mixed bag. By the way, FIFA rates him as a top 20, top 15, 20, or top 20 center back in MLS. I don't know how the chat feels about that, or how you guys feel about that. Let us know.
Go ahead, Jiggly. This one's yours first. I got to collect my thoughts on this one.
I don't know,
I
it's a lot.
The thing with him is okay. I have my article out about the fact that the Fire need a better captain, and I the reason why I originally started talking about it, I think I kept mentioning it on Twitter, I kept mentioning it on Sad Boys, that you you look at the way he plays and he just seems like a he's just a loud personality, not exactly a leader, just a loud personality. So I don't know. I'm gonna take out the idea of him being captain from this rating because that's like a completely separate issue. That's an issue based around the club, and I explained it in that article that it's mostly about the club kind of shooting itself in the foot that we don't have enough good candidates to be captain.
I'll put the link in the
But
description, by the way.
in terms of his actual play, he's like the most up and down player I think I can think of in any sport. In terms, I'm trying to think of like a comparison because I always have to compare this to the people who I talk to who don't
It's like
follow soccer.
Russell Westbrook in the NBA.
Not
Some
even
people rate
that.
him really, really highly. Other people think he's garbage. I
Not
don't
even
know.
that. It's more just like extremely good. Like thinking in football, like extremely good on one drive and then fumbles on the next. It's
Yeah.
just so inconsistent, but he's consistently inconsistent. It's I
I
I,
think,
I think that
yeah.
5 is a little bit too harsh. I think that maybe either a 6. I would give him a 6 or a 7, because when he saves us big time. But when he fails, it's pretty much all on him.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything Jiggly just said there. Disregarding, the whole captain thing and talking about solely his play on the field, he's by far and away the most polarizing guy in the roster. He's either, really good or really bad. There's not much just average play from Calvo. And I think that, the 5 is definitely too harsh. Like when he's playing well, he does have decent offensive flair off set pieces. He can dribble really well. His passing is good when it wants to be. His 1v1 defending is pretty good too. Yes, he's undersized, but for a center back, like he has decent athleticism, and I think that's something to note. But on the contrary, when he's bad, he's bad. Like his communication with Pineda and JB or Navarro on the left, sometimes wasn't the best, even with Gaston and Alvaro in the middle. His passing also was sometimes really really bad, and he passed it right to the number 10 on the other team or the winger on the other team. Same with his dribbling and overall just his patience was really bad. And I'd give him a 6.5 because of that, because I like Calvo. He's not captain quality. Like Jiggly said, he's just the most outgoing guy in the team. And that's something they're going to have to address definitely this offseason. But I think he can continuously be, a top 15 center back in the league if he just manages to stay consistent. That's what it comes down to.
Here's from the quote from the article. Given his vulnerability to error, I hear myself repeating, guys. The Fire will need a better center back and a better captain if they are to improve next season.
May I suggest Maya Yoshida? I need to give a shout out because I wasn't able to specifically say the shout out in the article that I wrote. But my idea for Maya Yoshida coming to the Fire comes from RJ. So
Who is this?
That's for RJ. Maya Yoshida is
right?
What?
Former Southampton center back?
Yes, former Southampton center back and former Southampton captain, current Japanese national team captain. Speaks like a ton of languages, and he's real tall. And I just think that it fits our needs, would work out.
What's his name? How do you spell it?
Maya Yoshida.
Maya.
Yeah, I'm gonna type it into our chat here so you can see it real quick.
I think I got him. Maya Yoshida, footballer, Serie A Sampdoria. Gotcha. Here he is on the screen. If you guys want to see, this is Maya Yoshida.
He's currently on Sampdoria. I think that it's
2 words, James. Yeah.
Rated 73 overall by FIFA. What's
Sounds
those?
about right.
What's those 2 words?
No, that's good. That's him.
Okay, gotcha, guys.
Yeah, that's him.
Margaret's
I'm watching the stream too.
going back to Calvo for just a second here. Margaret's saying that overall never impressed me that much, in my honest opinion. Nate saying he has flashes of an 8 out of 10, but showed a 4 out of 10 just the majority of the season. I kind of agree with that. It's closer to that. There was days where, and Jiggly was saying this too, right? You were saying up and down. A couple days where it's like 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. Oh my God, where is that?
Even within the same game.
But then even in the same game.
Up
yes.
and down.
Yes. But for the majority of the season, 4, 5 out of 10-ish.
I also feel like because he was captain, people had an inflated idea of what he could possibly be. Because when you think of the captain on your team, everyone's like, not necessarily the best player on your team, but someone who's consistently good, hardworking. And as a result, they associated those traits with Calvo when, being one of the more inconsistent people, and honestly the whole league. That was never an adequate way of looking at it. So that's another reason, he was under a lot of pressure this season, was as the captain, you need to consistently perform, which obviously we all know he's not the best at doing. So take the the captaincy tag off him, give him another season, in my opinion, and see what happens.
I really like the idea that somebody proposed. I think that there were some trade rumors going around about Kendall Waston coming to the Fire, and Francisco Calvo and Kendall Waston. That just seems like a wonderful team chaos center back pairing for me. I would love to watch that. That had to have happened, right? Did that happen? No,
I don't think so.
But I would have loved for it to have happened at some point, and I want that. Solely just
Kendall
to see
Waston is probably the second most, not bipolar, excuse me, a polarizing, center back in the league. He's gets 1 red card one day and then gets a goal and 5 interceptions the next day. So, that would be a mess, but it would be funny.
A beautiful mess.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. I also think, Carlos Turan's going to slot in at some point.
Yep, I'm excited for him.
That height. Provide the height that they were lacking from Calvo, whether that means they're going to move, I don't know, Pineda into the midfield or start Turan over Calvo or force Calvo to go back to left back. Who knows? But, Turan and even Wyatt Omsberg, who was, honestly, he was pretty good when he played. Like, he wasn't bad. Provides more heights. So
Omsberg isn't even on this list, I don't think.
He is. He's at the bottom.
Oh, he is. He's way at the bottom.
But Nate was saying red cards for days with that Watson-Calvo combo.
Oh, yeah.
Red cards for days.
Well, like Jiggly said, not controlled chaos, uncontrolled chaos.
It's just chaos. It's beautiful.
It's absolute chaos.
Content, please, saying that I think that they gave Calvo captaincy just because he was one of the longer standing players, but I think Gaston would have been better.
My dad had a theory. We were talking about this. The whole reason why I ended up writing the article was because I had like a long conversation with my dad about captain stuff, about the Fire. And his theory is that they got Gaston planning for him to be captain. I think he was captain at Vélez. And they thought that he would work out, but he got there and they just realized maybe he's not the right guy. So they just let Calvo stay as captain. They gave it to Calvo still. So it may have been Gaston who was supposed to be captain, but he didn't really take the role. He didn't grab the role, and they just ended up passing it off to Calvo, who was already captain.
That's really interesting to me because Gaston never screamed captain to me.
Yeah.
Hasn't.
But,
yeah.
Yeah.
He was captain at Vélez.
That's interesting. In my opinion, this might be a hot take. This season, Bobby Shuttleworth should have been the captain.
Wow.
And
I would also agree.
Whoa, no, yeah, you might not be wrong there.
So emotionally into the game, he's a leader. He's quality communication for the most part.
Or
Bobby
Ornstein.
Yeah, but JB didn't start consistently enough to be captain.
Well, I mean, Bobby wasn't going to be starting until Cronholm got injured.
That's true. That is true.
Not sure what you guys think of the chat about who should be captain, but let us know.
I'm a big fan of putting goalkeepers as captain because they're the communication leaders of the team. So as a goalkeeper growing up, granted I wasn't captain. I thought I should have been, but I wasn't. It's always a good idea to make the goalkeeper captain.
Well, I mean,
yeah, it looks like a faux pas sometimes to people, but I agree with you that like they're heart and soul of the team sometimes.
The legacy positions for captain are either goalkeeper, back, or holding midfielder, and then those are like the three main positions for a captain.
Yep. I agree.
By the way, guys, I just wanted to thank you both and live chat and everybody for joining us today. It's awesome talking soccer with you guys.
Always, James. Always a pleasure.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Not live or after the